Welcome once again to Cinemaholics, the Major Motion Podcast, where we talk about the biggest and the best films coming to theaters and streaming online. From the San Francisco Bay Area, I'm John Negroni. I'm a film editor for theyoungfolks.com. From Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, he's a news and entertainment writer at Collider. It's Will Ashton.
Hello. I like how you said podcast. You really enunciated the word there.
We also have a special guest.
Sure.
Somebody who's coming in last minute.
I guess.
Yeah. You know, I wanted to surprise you, Will. I didn't tell you about this ahead of time. So coming on to the show to help us talk about Pinocchio 2022, it is, of course, Mickey Mouse. Hey, Mickey.
Okay.
Huh. Hey, guys.
Hey, Mickey.
Are you okay, Mickey? You look a little stressed out.
I don't know. I've been having a rough day.
Oh, boy. Why is that, Mickey Mouse?
A lot of people haven't been liking this movie that I came out with. It's called
you didn't make it.
I directed it.
Oh, no, wait.
Yeah, Mickey, that's not right. Robert Zemeckis, the director of Back to the Future, and
Shut up!
Whoa.
Wow.
Mickey, that's a little
It's harsh.
intense, man.
I'm sorry. He didn't show up to set any of the days of the week. It was really me and Tom Hanks trying to make this thing work.
Well, you know, that would have been a fun day on set, I think.
It wasn't. It was terrible. Tom got COVID again. Oh, boy.
Oh, no. That doesn't sound fun, I have to admit. I had to mince my words there.
Jiminy Cricket!
Well, what about him, Mick?
Well, I hate to say this, but he's addicted to meth.
Oh boy.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Mickey, I'm so sorry to hear that. That must have been awful for you, like a toxic work environment.
Oh, yeah, it was.
John, what do you have to say about all this?
What do I have to say?
Yeah, what do you have to say about this?
I'm
kind of speechless right now.
I think Mickey Mouse. We were hoping to have a fun, lighthearted conversation, but it sounds like you needed to take a little time for yourself. Maybe you should leave.
I think
okay with you, Will?
Yeah, I think you should leave.
Sorry, guys. I don't think I'm ready.
That's okay. You can be a guest on. We'll say blonde. Let's bring Mickey Mouse on for our blonde episode.
Boy, I'd love to talk about blonde. That would be so fun.
All right, yeah, that's gonna be a fun episode, I think. So, all right, well, we'll talk to you then.
Yeah, see you, Mick. It was nice talking to you for a minute, at least.
All right, see you guys.
Wow, that was pretty weird, dude.
Yeah, I gotta say, it sounds like this movie's more messed up than I thought it was.
Well, I guess we should watch the movie for ourselves and then have a review conversation of it.
Okay.
Starting now. All right, Will, I guess it's time to talk about Pinocchio 2022.
Pinocchio, no.
No, no is already in the name, Will. Pinocchio. It's not Pinocchio.
It doesn't have the same emphasis as Pinocchio. No.
Okay. So do we want to talk about, to set this up, do we want to talk about Pinocchio movies that have happened? Disney live action remakes? Where do we even start with this?
Well, what's going on with Pinocchio right now? There were 5 Pinocchio movies that have come out in the last 16 months.
Should we go through them?
I guess. I can list the ones that I know, and I'm sure there's some other ones that I can't remember. But there's that the recent Italian live action Pinocchio that got nominated for an Oscar, I believe, last year. Mm-hmm. Roberto Benigni played Geppetto.
You
surprisingly
liked it quite a
good
bit.
film. Yeah, I like that movie.
Yeah,
exceeded my expectations because I've been pretty firm. I've said it, I think, even on our extra milestone review of the original animated Pinocchio, that I thought a live-action Pinocchio would never, ever work. I just thought there's no way you can do it unless you do something like AI, where it's like Pinocchio, but not really, but it is Pinocchio sort of deal. If you're doing a straight Pinocchio, I thought it could never work in live action. That Italian movie proved me wrong, so that's why I came to this movie a little bit more open, hoping for the best, but we can discuss that in a bit. There was also that CG animated Pinocchio movie with Pauly Shore and Tom Kenny.
That's right.
That came out.
Yeah.
Became a big meme film. I don't know anyone that's actually seen the film, but the memes and the TikToks were all over the place.
They were flowing.
I would like to see that movie at some point, just for the notoriety it gained. John Heder was also in it for some reason. Or Heder, how you pronounce his name. Napoleon Dynamite himself.
Yeah. I think John Heater is something.
Yeah,
like
I think
that.
I think I had it right before. And then there's the Guillermo del Toro stop motion animated Pinocchio movie that's coming out sometime, I think in December.
Is this supposed to be good?
hitting. Well, I think it's hitting the film festival circuits, right? Isn't it supposed to go to New York Film Festival or something?
Yeah, and I don't know any of the scuttlebutt. I don't know the expectation, the hype, and I think I saw like a quick still, which I could get from that what I could get from that. But yeah, to your point, like, did we mention Pinocchio 3000?
No, is that the one where he's like in space? I think I remember hearing about this one.
Yeah,
what's up with that one?
I don't know.
What is up with that?
Let's talk about that movie instead.
That's the one with like the weirdly very like creepy animation, right?
Yeah. There've been a lot of Pinocchio movies, there's something kind of timeless, right, about the Pinocchio story. It's got parenthood in it, it's got adventures, it can be episodic in its storytelling. Lots of kids can see themselves in Pinocchio, sure. But the Disney one is the most culturally pervasive one. Is that fair to say?
Yes, it is, yeah.
It's considered one of the all-time great animated films. It was the second Disney film, the second animated film to go to theaters, I think. I don't think there was anything between Snow White and Pinocchio, I think is the correct thing to say there. And that's a classic movie. We talked about it on this podcast, the 1941 film, or was it 1940? We talked about it 2 years ago for Extra Milestone, and what a great conversation that was, because I think for you, right, like we hadn't really rewatched the movie in so long.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised rewatching that film, how much it held up. Obviously, there's some stuff in it that, is of its time in terms of depictions of race and, that's stuff, it's unfortunately stuff you kind of have to expect with some older Disney films, not to excuse it or to say that it's justified. It's certainly not the case, but looking at the film itself, it remains a pretty timeless film by and large.
Yeah.
And that's what made the idea of making a remake all the more sort of baffling.
They've held back, on the live action remake of this one. They made a Maleficent sequel before they made a Pinocchio live action. And I do wonder why you think that is. You think it's the technology? Do you think it's just sort of like, well, how do we bring Pinocchio back? It's been attempted by other studios. It's in the public domain. It's a story that I do think, like, they avoided doing like a direct to DVD sequel like they did with some of the other Disney films, like Little Mermaid and all that.
Well,
what's
the sequel going to be? He's a real boy. And it's like, who cares? He's a boy.
They talked about doing, like, they were actually working on a sequel.
Oh, yeah,
do
really?
not underestimate.
No.
Disney Toon. But
Pinocchio.
And here we are now, Robert Zemeckis, one of the most fondly remembered directors of the 80s and 90s, coming to Disney Plus. It's weird, right? They put this on Disney Plus, and I got to ask you first, because like we're gonna talk about what we think of the movie and everything, but like, do you think that was the right move? Like, do you think like just kind of dumping this on a streaming service? Like, my thinking is that this would have made money, no matter what critics say, no matter what you and I say today. This would have made a good bit of money, not in September, but like spring. This feels like a spring Disney flick to me, doesn't it?
You say that, but I feel like if it did come out now, when there's like nothing major in theaters as far as new releases are concerned, it probably would have done better now than would have if they released in the summer or late spring.
I think spring would be better, but because it's back to school. People aren't going to movies right now, except for adults.
Well, I guess what I mean is, like, in August there was also just like nothing, and like for
that's true.
Like early August there wasn't like a big major family film after DC League of Super Pets.
Sure.
I don't know if Pinocchio would have driven kids to the theater, but they didn't really have anything else major for children at that time. So they could have taken the gamble on it. But to answer your question, I guess I feel like, without giving away too much of my thoughts, I feel like I might have been more forgiving of this film because it was a Disney Plus original. I think for me, my expectations were already pretty low, given everything outside of the stars and the director involved. I was just kind of like, well, why is this one going to Disney Plus? Like, what's kind of the deal here? Why are we even making this movie? Like, what's the like incentive of it? Why they keep hiding the Pinocchio? Like, they didn't reveal like what Pinocchio looked like for a long time until like maybe like a couple weeks before the movie came out. And I was like, is this gonna look creepy? Is it gonna look weird? I don't know. And I think it was more watchable than I expected, which is not to say a positive about the film, or more that I think I just had such low expectations. I was like, okay, for a Disney Plus thing, I was expecting something worse. I think if I saw this in theaters, I would have been a lot more openly critical of what I watched.
I don't know what I would have thought if I'd seen this in theaters, but I mean, I didn't know anything about this, right? I didn't know the cast. So like when I was finding out, there was like, this is going straight to Disney Plus, my thinking was, like, it's Tom Hanks. You know, they have somebody voicing Pinocchio who's probably going to be relatively unknown. It's probably going to be a really tight cast. Probably not a lot of people, you know, in general. It's going to be very small, humble. It's like, okay, you know, this is going to be like, not like a Pete's Dragon situation where that movie was like, that went to theaters. You know what I mean? Cause it's just kind of funny when you think about, you know, a Pete's Dragon movie went to theaters. David Lowery's, Pete's Dragon, probably the best of these remakes. And
yeah, I was going to say
Pinocchio went straight to Disney Plus. Have any of the other live action ones gone to Disney Plus straight?
I'm going to say, I believe, it's funny you mentioned the David Lowery film, because I believe the next one he's doing, the Peter Pan Wendy film, is going straight to Disney Plus.
I heard that they announced that on like D23 or whatever. They announced some info about it, and that it's looking good. Like people are actually kind of like, hey, like this might have some life to it.
Maybe.
But I mean, I say all that to like, Cynthia Erivo is in this, like Luke Evans.
Sure.
Like this is a pretty decent cast. Like in terms of like the people involved. Keegan-Michael Key himself. So I'm a little bit like Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Yeah, it's like what's going on here? Like there's no way that they probably expected. I mean, they were developing this before COVID. I mean, they were, I think they had Tom Hanks attached like 2019, 2018, something like that. Mm-hmm. So like they had to have bigger expectations for this, right?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like this movie being dumped on Disney Plus, and I say dumped only in a sense of like, I don't think this was ever intended for theaters. Like, it's not like a Artemis Fowl situation where they had theater plans and then they put it on Disney Plus. I think this was always meant for Disney Plus, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I do remember there were people talking about, because there was some scuttlebutt about Dumbo. Dumbo didn't do so hot. And they were kind of looking at like, well, if we do a Pinocchio movie, we're not going to put all our eggs into that because Dumbo flopped so bad, Yeah,
which, I mean, I think we disagree on this. I think Dumbo is better than most of the recent Disney live-action remakes that we've gotten in the past, like 3 or 4 years.
I don't know if I disagree. It's just like, what is low bar?
I mean,
like it's
right. I mean, I know I'm not. This isn't like much of a competition. I'm saying, but like, I would say if I had to choose one where I'm like, okay, like at least that one, I remember enjoying something out of it because it's like, okay, this is clearly Tim Burton's Dumbo, and like Aladdin is a movie where it's like that's Guy Ritchie's Aladdin. You could tell me that and be like, how? How do you know that? Like there's like one scene that has like kind of his style and that's it. Like everything, and that movie, it could just been Sam from the, Kmart directed that and it wouldn't make much of a difference as far as I can tell. Same goes for Lion King. That just feels like a demo reel, it's like a tech reel.
Let me say this because, and by the way, I heard that like for Lion King, they're doing the Mufasa prequel, which.
With Barry Jenkins directing. What's up with that?
How? Anyway,
it's supposed to be like The Godfather. Apparently, that's what they're comparing it. Godfather Part 2. I should clarify.
Oh, okay, all right. I heard a little bit of the premise, and I'm just like, no, Scar. Scar is all I care about. Scar is the best character from those movies. I don't understand why he keeps getting disrespected by the Disney Corporation. I know why, but anyway. So
I feel like the Mufasa. Sorry, not to like push this back, but I feel like the Mufasa thing is like this bit where like no one's saying psych yet. Like they keep being like, all right, yeah, Barry Jenkins is directing Lion King 2, Mufasa story, or whatever. Like, okay, yeah, say psych. Yeah, no, we're making it right now. It's in pre-production. Yeah, say psych. Yeah, we're getting casting together. Yeah, we're going to start filming in about a month or 2. Yeah, say psych.
Sure you are, yeah.
Yeah, it has a release date for 2025. Yeah, sure, say psych. Yeah, we're at the red carpet right now. And
yeah. They show a different movie, of course. So I'm looking at the full list of live-action remakes. There is one. I knew there was one. I just could not remember what it was. It was Lady and the Tramp. That was the one that went straight to Disney Plus. And I think that was like the first like reaction to Dumbo, maybe, because like Disney Plus was pretty new at the time. It was like end of 2019. It was like right when it came, like Disney Plus happened. And I think that they were a little bit sour on Dumbo at that point. Maybe not. I mean, it was pretty close. I mean, Dumbo was like earlier that year.
Lady and the Tramp, did you ever watch that remake?
No, I did not.
I forget. I wrote about it for Cinema Blend, so I ended up watching it for some reason or another. And that's a film totally forgot about. Just came, whoosh,
of course,
went over my head. Don't remember more than three things about it.
I mean, I'm looking at this list of movies. Most of these movies, I say this with deep respect to people who have different tastes than me, pure trash. Like trash up and down. There are a few movies I would pick out of here and I'd be like, this one's okay. You know, in the okay category, I have movies like Christopher Robin. That's fine. Like, you know, I thought that was okay. Aladdin, I thought was okay. You know,
I thought that sucked.
I know, but I thought it was a movie. It did stuff that was kind of fun here and there.
Like what?
No, like the big sequence with the genie and that, you know, when he slapped the boulder rock. Anyway.
Okay.
Maleficent. I thought Maleficent was okay, the first one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that one's interesting because it's like, you know, it's like a Disney's rape revenge film, which is very like bizarre to say.
There was something to it.
Yeah, I mean, at least there's an angle to that one. There's something where it's like they're clearly doing, like you said, they're doing something with that one.
I thought Cinderella was okay. A lot of people are like, I love the Cinderella one. Cinderella one's my favorite. It's not my favorite, but I'm like, you know, it's
probably
it was okay.
Probably my second favorite after Pete's Dragon, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, Pete's Dragon, it's not on this list, weirdly enough, which I don't know why they don't count it, but okay, sure. But yeah, Pete's Dragon, I think, is like quality-wise is the best one. But, and I know we disagree heartily on this, but Cruella, loved Cruella. It's one of my favorites of these. Jungle Book.
Generally forgot that one too.
I'm sure you did, but Cruella and Jungle Book, those ones are the ones where I'm just like, these are movies to me. Like, these are actually like, you know, they feel like I had an experience with them. I had a really good time watching both of those.
I mean, Cruella is, I think it's just okay. Way too long, but has a good central performance.
Love that soundtrack.
I will say Jungle Book, it's fine. I feel like it got overhyped at the time, and that's why we had to bear the sins of the Lion King remake.
See, I disagree. I mean, we bear the sins of the Lion King remake, but I genuinely think Jungle Book was like really well done. Like, I think the hype one, it wasn't for you, I guess, but like, I thought it was really solid. It was nice. So, but look, everything else on this list, I think is just garbage. Like, I wish I could unsee these movies. I mean, Dumbo, okay, I'm not that mean to Dumbo, but Dumbo genuinely I thought was like, I
think I prefer Dumbo to Jungle Book, which I know is sort of blasphemous, but
you're gonna be you, man, and I appreciate you for that. But like Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, like what happened there? Beauty and the Beast is genuinely, I think, like just insulting to everybody.
Oh yeah, that movie sucked.
Alice Through the Looking Glass, I genuinely think that is just one of the weakest sequels to like a movie. Like, well, I genuinely like surprised. It makes the first one, Alice in Wonderland, which I did not like. It makes that one actually look better, which is.
Oh, I gotta disagree. I actually think the Through Looking Glass is better.
I could not disagree more
than the Tim Burton one. The Tim Burton one is like, well, so is the Tim Burton. Like the Tim Burton one is like a bottom 3 Burton film, and then Through Looking Glass is just sort of whatever. Which I guess in that case, I feel like whatever is less insulting to me than the Alice in Wonderland proper, because it was just like that movie. We could put
both those movies in their own little category of like, no, thank you.
Sure, I'm not going to vouch for either of them outside of this context.
The two that bug me the most, and they're not even necessarily the worst ones, but like they're the ones that I think betray the spirit of the original the worst, and that is The Lion King and Mulan. And like Mulan, the more time that goes by, the more I look at that movie and I'm just like, how do you not understand what was great about the original that hard? Like, how do you miss it that badly? And like, I think there's so much weird stuff with the Mulan one in terms of like trying to appease a Chinese audience and trying to like, you know, the compromise. It's like such an epitome of compromising on art and creativity for commerce. Mm-hmm. Like so egregious. Like there's always an element to that. Like we can't expect artistic puricism or whatever, but like That and Lion King, it's the same dang thing where they just do not have life. They're content. That's it. There's nothing to them.
Yeah.
And it's sad because the talent there is like amazing. And you want it to be part of something real. And it's just not.
Yeah, I guess with Mulan, I remember that was like one of the few Disney live action remakes where I actually had not like expectations, but like I had some hope for it. I was like, okay, I can at least see what they're going to do here. It'd be really cool to get like a movie, like a blockbuster of the scale, even if it is Mulan, a remake of Mulan, you know, it's not going to probably be better than it, but at least it's going to be something that maybe is comparable. And obviously that's not the case. In that movie, I agree with you. Like, anytime I remember, it's like, man, that was just like a letdown, really.
And just completely misunderstanding what's great about that character. Completely.
And it came out like a wet fart, like just dumped on Disney Plus. You had to pay $20 extra to watch it. No one wanted to watch it that
September 2020, right? It was like when Tenet was coming out. It was very odd.
Yeah. People, and that was more fascinating to me because it was like, you know, at least when they put like the live action remakes in theaters, like, okay, like I could watch the original, but at least I can understand the justification. Like, this is a new thing that's in theaters. I can justify seeing it in theaters or whatever. With Mulan, it's like they're on the same service and you have to pay more for the live action remake and it's worse. So what justification did you have at the time to watch?
What, like literally, like we watched the new Mulan, like me and my wife and her family, right after we were just like, we went straight to the other movie and started watching that. Because we just, you know, we're like, man, that movie was so much better. But I mean, it's like, but they're going to keep making these because these movies keep making bango bucks, you know? And Pinocchio is an interesting case for that to me because it's like, that one's really going to Disney Plus, no extra fee and none of that stuff. And there is not a single thing about this new Pinocchio that is different in a better way. Like,
I was gonna say,
like, there's nothing that they added that was better. It's not that like every single aspect of it is bad, but it's just like the original has everything that the live action one has, but better or the same.
I mean, it's not quite as egregious as 2019 Lion King.
It's not shot for shot, right? They add stuff.
Yeah.
There are a couple new characters, sure, and like but like the things that they change about this new Pinocchio, and I'm gonna get on my soapbox of it, is they make Pinocchio lame, like lamer, right? Like, you know how in the original Pinocchio, he's like a bad kid, and he's like doing bad stuff, and he actually makes bad choices. In this, they're so afraid of Pinocchio like having agency and like being unlikable. Like, this is what I mean. It's just like everything is just content to these creators now, like these people calling the shots, and they just do not allow any sort of like artistic decisions to be made. It's why I have like no faith whatsoever in like Little Mermaid or Peter Pan and like Snow White. Like, I think they're gonna suck. They're gonna suck because the people making them are just gonna be like, they're gonna have their hands tied by really dumb decisions that are at the top by people who don't know what they're doing.
I will push back a little bit about the Peter Pan one only because Lowry is directing it, but the rest of them I agree.
I'll be a little bit more hopeful about that, but I don't want to get hurt again.
Yeah, but I agree with, as far as like that issue you have didn't bother me as much, with the exception of one scene where I think it's absolutely the crux of why I think that the scene doesn't work, and I think you can assume which scene I'm referring to.
In Pinocchio, or
yes, in Pinocchio, yeah.
I mean, there's two that I'm just kind of like I think the two main sequences in the movie, like the Stromboli stuff and Pleasure Island.
Yeah, Pleasure Island is what I'm talking about. Where Pleasure Island is
the worst of it.
Yeah, and it's weird because like Pleasure Island is the only scene in this movie where it feels like Zemeckis like woke up. It was like, oh yeah, I'm directing a movie.
And the production design, I was like into it. I was just like, oh my gosh, they're making Pleasure Island like really come alive here. But that was kind of cool, but it wasn't better because Pinocchio himself is so inert in there. Like, they completely mess up what makes that character work. And like, it's tough because there is a version of this movie where it works, where you do have like Pinocchio not being like as bad of a kid. But the problem is that the rest of the movie, like, if you're going to take that creative liberty, there needs to be other different choices made, but they don't. Like, it's too similar. Yeah. And then it's not similar anymore, and it's abrupt, and like it's not cohesive at all. The character arc makes no sense.
Yeah, because all these stories are like these little vignettes are supposed to be Pinocchio learning lessons and like becoming a better puppet and being a boy because he's learning what it means to be a human and kind of recognizing like how he can kind of avoid these temptations, all this stuff.
Right. But he doesn't even have conflict with Jiminy Cricket. They don't even have a falling out or something. It's like basic storytelling stuff.
Yeah. So in this movie, like, yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's a test audience thing or what the problem is, but yeah, like the Pleasure Island scene, in my opinion, just doesn't work at all because it's like he's not tempted by anything. If anything, he's resistant to it. So it's like, why is he going to become a donkey?
Well, he didn't even want to go there in the first place. He's like, he's like, being forced there, and it's just like when you do that, like that's the Stromboli stuff where he gets put in the cage and like.
Right.
And like they even do the thing with the school where it's like he actually goes to the school and then gets kicked out. Like, what?
Yeah.
In my Letterboxd review, I wrote, and I stand by this, that in this movie, Lampy was right.
Lampy?
Yeah, Lampwick.
Who's Lampwick? I'm trying to remember who that is.
Lampwick was Pinocchio's friend who was just like, yeah, let's blow up these clocks. Let's have a good time. I was on his side.
Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah. I forgot they gave him a name.
His Brooklyn accent was a little distracting. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah,
like,
that performance was bad. I feel like well, actually, I'd say 3 performances in this movie that I think don't work at all. That kid is one of them. Yeah, Tom Hanks, I was going to say. I was going to say, you were giving Tom Hanks grief for Elvis. He is much better in Elvis than he is in this. And I'll fight you if you disagree.
I think they're equally bad in both of these movies. At least, though, no. I will give him this. At least in Elvis, he's awake. Like, he actually is like, you get a sense that he actually wants to do the role that he's actively doing in that moment. Sure.
In Elvis, and I can't believe I'm the one defending Baz Luhrmann's choices here, but here we go. He's meant to be a character. He's meant to be broad because we're seeing it through like the eyes of a guy who's being manipulated by him. So it makes sense that he plays it that way.
Oh, sure, it makes sense, but it's still bad.
I think it works. If someone other than Baz Luhrmann was directing that performance, I don't think it would work. But I think under his vision for that project, that he gave the performance that the director wanted.
Look, I love unhinged stuff, and like that movie is unhinged, and I love it for it. So we're not going to disagree that much on that.
But with his take on Geppetto, it's just nothing.
Yeah, literally nothing.
Like, it's an accent. It's
an accent that's not even consistent. It goes away.
It's not. There's just nothing that grounds a character. There's nothing to me like that's a character that gets scanned off even more than Pinocchio. It's just like there's nothing like he doesn't get mad at Pinocchio for anything. He doesn't even seem like he really wants Pinocchio as much. Like he's just kind of like, yeah, I mean, like it'd be cool if I had a son. That'd be kind of neat. It'd be nice.
There's a whole backstory where apparently he did have a son.
Right.
And then there's like a tragic backstory. They add that to the movie, and again, it's like it doesn't make the movie better.
It's window dressing.
It's just like sort of like adding a little bit of more context, but it doesn't make the movie better because like I can't buy the emotion of it. Like I do not buy Tom Hanks genuinely believing that this kid is going to replace his dead kid. Right?
Legit, I forgot that was even a thing that they
exactly. The movie forgets. The movie drops it.
Yeah.
There's so many things. Like, how do you not have Geppetto in The Whale? Like
he is in The Whale, but
like not like living there for like an extended period of time. Like the fantastic sort of like larger than life fairy taleness of the movie is just gone because it becomes literal. But there were other performances you said did not work for you.
Well, I felt like those 2 performances and Keegan-Michael Key. I just feel like that's more of a directing thing. I think from him. That's where we disagree. I actually think I think Keegan-Michael Key is kind of good in this. I just think he definitely has the worst material. Like he has to like,
I think he's the only one who sells the puns.
Funny. What was that?
He's the only one who sells the puns. I think Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
I think his puns are... those are the moments I'm really squirming in my seat watching. Not only because...
Not me.
Obviously,
I think
like the Uncanny Valley stuff of the animations, like I knew from the beginning, I was like, this is the stuff I'm going to be dreading. Like the Uncanny Valley stuff with Honest John, because it's going to look weird.
That was the only stuff I liked.
Oh, man. Wow.
I'm being real with you. Like whenever it was Honest John, Gideon doing their thing, trying to seduce Pinocchio to the life of being an actor, I was like... Yeah, I'm in. Like, this is the part I like.
I mean, I like the like Stromboli, like No Strings on Me and stuff. I think that's actually kind of fun.
That's a cool sequence.
And that's like one of the rare times where it's like, like Zemeckis can clearly direct a scene like that and have some visual flair and like have fun with it. But yeah, I just feel like I generally don't know if he was asked to do this or if this was something he wanted to do.
Zemeckis,
if he wanted to do it, like, what was the incentive here? Like, I just feel like there's nothing he really brings to the project that's, you know, truly investing the material or trying to give it new life. It just seems like he's like interested from a pure technical standpoint. Like, okay, like, can I bring Pinocchio to live action? Or like he went to Disney and was like, yeah, you know, if there was one I would have to do in live action, it's like Pinocchio. It's like, oh, you want to do Pinocchio? It's like, yeah, I guess. Yeah, sure. And they're like, yeah, here's $200 million. We're going to put it on Disney Plus on Disney Day or whatever. And it's like, just make it happen.
Well, I think he was far from the first choice, right? Because they wanted Sam Mendes and Paul King on this.
Really?
Yeah, they were both like the first two directors that Disney had in mind. So it is a little bit of a departure that they ended up with Zemeckis at all. But I honestly think that, like, I don't think none of those directors would have been good for this. I mean,
well, I think Paul King can, but he already did it. It's Paddington. Like, what
that's
what
the thing is just like,
right.
I feel like Paul King, I don't think that the Paddington energy fits this material. This material is way too dark of an edge. And it's like, not that he couldn't do it, but I just think that, like, I don't know if it fits his sensibilities. That said, I mean, they stand off the edges pretty bad in this as it is. I mean,
yeah.
I watched this movie, and again, I agree with you to the point where it's like, it's watchable. Like, it's not like I was watching this and just being like, oh, I hate my life, blah, blah, blah. You know, I found it pretty boring. I found it to be a bit of a flat line. I wouldn't put it in like the Lion King and Mulan camp where I'm just like, this is like an egregious error. I just think that it's in like the lows, you know, it's there for me. It's like, it's Beauty and the Beast level. It's Alice Through the Looking Glass. It's like, there's these movies that, like, I didn't expect much from anyway. And it's just sort of like, on the one hand with Pinocchio, like, I think some people maybe look at it as more of an important movie because it was one of Disney's favorites. And like, I know that, like, When You Wish Upon a Star is such a big deal, but it's such a small, humble movie that you can get away with making a pretty weak Pinocchio movie. It's just, you know, it's like, and we never even said the design of the puppet himself, I think, is okay. It looks like the original puppet. He moves around. It's, you know, it's not convincing, but it's, you know, it's safe. It's all safe.
I mean, it's not terrifying, which is a huge compliment. But yeah, it is kind of like it's not really interesting. I actually thought the design for Jiminy Cricket was a little bit more interesting in live action.
Threw me off a bit.
Pinocchio. It does take a little bit to getting used to it. There is like that Uncanny Valley thing when he's like talking to the camera. It's like, this is freaking me out a little bit. What are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think everything with the cricket and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I think it's all passable, but it never quite clicks for me. It never quite feels, again, it just doesn't feel alive.
Sure, yeah.
Better than Hanks in this.
Yeah, no, that's where I agree. I don't know. I think he's got the voice down pretty good, but it just feels like he's doing an impression of the character. It doesn't really feel like he's playing Jiminy Cricket. It feels like he's like, it's like, he's doing a pretty good impression of Jiminy Cricket. Like, yeah, but it's like, but what else is there to it? Like, you know, it's a good impression, but it's not a performance.
I was surprised that they did as much from the original as they do. Like the shadowy things, kind of like bringing in I know they kind of changed that up a bit. You know, they make it less like of a race thing, but I didn't think they were going to do the donkey thing as like similarly as like the original does. And I was wondering if like Monster would really be a huge whale. He wasn't quite that big, but like I honestly, I'll tell you this, Will. Because you know, I asked you, I was like, when are we going to get to Honest John? I didn't actually think they were going to have Honest John and Gideon in this. Like, I thought like they were just going to like kind of maybe take that stuff out and sort of like, or maybe have Honest John, but it's like actually Keegan-Michael Key, you know? Like
that's why I thought they were. Yeah, I thought they weren't going to do the Fox thing.
I give this movie a little bit of respect because they did it. They you know, hey, live action remake, we're actually going to, you know, live action remake it, sure. But Figaro the Cat. Figaro the Cat.
Okay.
For many years.
Here we go. Yeah.
It's been one of my favorite, if not my favorite Disney character. He's fun. He's cute, relatable. He's important to me.
He's your spirit animal.
He's my spirit Disney plush.
Yeah.
You know, all of his expressions. Like, if you ever been like, you know what is John? You know, not just what I look like, but like what's it like? Like, what is the essence of John?
Sure.
Figaro.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, I saw this movie before you did. not really like by choice, just kind of worked out that way. And I debated being like, should I tell John about how they do Figaro dirty? And I'm like, you know what? Some things he just has to figure out for himself. I'm not gonna bear this bad news. He's just gonna have to experience it on his own. Yeah, I mean, Figaro doesn't. It looks like the animation is much cheaper for Figaro than the other CG characters. He often feels like an afterthought in a lot of
I was going to
scenes.
say the exact word afterthought. Like him and Cleo, they both get disrespected here. I know a lot of people have been like, oh, the clocks of a bunch of Disney movies. I didn't care, whatever. Like people have been complaining of like, oh, it's Woody from Toy Story and a clock. It's like, sure. That's, what do you expect? Like,
well, how's that tip the Pixar theory?
I mean, it's all BS, isn't it? I mean, like, Woody was in the 1950s. Like, what this movie, like Pinocchio's in the 19th century. What are we doing? I don't know.
I don't know.
Nothing matters. It's magic.
Sure. Oh boy. Well, look forward to the new book.
I don't get like of all the characters. Like, why Woody? Why Toy Story? Why not just do like?
Well,
they
Tom
have
Hanks, right?
I guess.
Yeah.
But you already have Tom Hanks right there. Why do you have to? It's too much.
It's just a nod. I mean, it's the same reason that they have Roger Rabbit in this. Like, why is Roger Rabbit and Jessica Rabbit in this? Because Robert Zemeckis made the movie. It's like when they had Back to the Future and the DeLorean and Welcome to Marwen. It's like, yeah, I guess we can, so why not?
Were those his demands to make the movie? Like, why did we have to? I don't know.
That's what I don't get. Yeah, at this point, like I feel like Zemeckis is kind of like he's out to lunch a little bit at this point. Like he's kind of gone gonzo mode as a director. Like I don't think he really has figured out like his purpose anymore. Like it just seems like he's kind of working to work. And I think part of it might be because of the response to Welcome to Marwen, which I think was maybe more of a personal film.
That was his blank check,
critics.
you know, and people weren't into it. You know, they were like,
yeah. It is a bad film. I'm not gonna justify it. I'm not gonna say it works. It was a huge disaster. It's a mess. But at least with that film, it's like, okay, if we're gonna get a bunch of movies like Pinocchio and the Witches because we didn't see Welcome to Marwen or didn't support Welcome to Marwen, then it's like, okay, then maybe we are at fault, because at least that was a film where it's like clearly this is Zemeckis at the helm, and like I respect that this movie feels more indebted to Zemeckis than The Lion King, than Aladdin, than Beauty and the Beast. Like it's clearly Zemeckis making these choices. A lot of them are bad, but he clearly made them, which I think makes it comparable to Dumbo. In that, like, okay, like it's clearly like C-level Zemeckis, but at least it's Zemeckis. But
I just don't like this trend for Zemeckis,
right?
You know,
well, that's
you
what I'm
say
getting
C-level.
at. Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
right. Yeah, I just don't get where he's going at this point. I just don't like see what's driving him anymore beyond the doing the special effects. It gives me that kind of queasy feeling when A Christmas Carol came out. It's just like, are you just doing this so you can make the Uncanny Valley movies, or do you want to tell this story in a unique way? It just feels like he needs another flight. He needs something to kind of like give him like direction again. I don't know what that is.
That was the thing with The Walk, right? Like The Walk was more about just the effects. It was more about that entire sequence.
Yeah, I like The Walk.
Well, that's the thing. It's like it's not an unlikable movie, but it doesn't feel like he made it for like a story purpose. It was more just about, you know, I guess Welcome to Marwen was that, but like.
No, I think The Walk is more personal than you're giving credit, but it does feel like he is kind of interested in the tech aspect. Like, can he recreate? I think that's like a mix of the two. I think it's an interesting case. But yeah, I like The Witches. I generally don't know, like even like 2 years after, like what was his intent with that film?
I barely remember it. I think that was just like a paycheck movie for the guy, and I think Pinocchio is as well. I don't know anything else he has coming up.
He has a movie called Here that's supposed to star Tom Hanks and Robin Wright.
Sure,
and it's like a 20-year story all told from like the same room, which sounds pretty interesting.
Okay, like
I
know he's executive produced some shows and stuff. Like I know one of the big ones was Manifest, but
he did what was that Apple TV Plus movie that was pretty good that he produced? Finch.
He produced that?
Yeah.
Oh. No, I guess so. Okay. Yeah, I didn't realize he was a producer for that one, but
yeah, that was pretty good.
I got a little confused because I know he produced Real Steel, but I was like, wait, that's 2011. So
different man gets upset at robot movie.
Yeah, I think he's been burned quite a bit when it comes to produce. Because didn't he also produce Mars Needs Moms and
Oh yes, he did. Yes,
Mars really needed those moms well.
Yeah, that killed his Yellow Submarine movie.
And I think I mean the guy has made some terrific, obviously like Back to the Future, one of the great trilogies. Who Framed Roger Rabbit, one of the all-time great movies.
Yeah, one of my favorite movies of all time. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Yeah.
Forrest Gump. I mean, if you're a baby boomer, I mean, you've probably watched that movie thousands of times. I like Contact. Castaway was a formative experience for me. I think because I saw that in the theater when I was 10. And it was one of the first times I watched a movie in a theater, and I was like, wow, like. Adulthood. Yeah, I don't know. Like I remember like watching that movie and just I had to like cover my eyes during like the airplane sequence because I was just like, scary. And then Polar Express. He made like a modern kind of Christmas favorite, right? I don't know.
That movie.
I don't know if that good that movie really holds up, but
it doesn't.
Okay. I only saw Beowulf the once, which I have no interest in ever rewatching, and I only saw Christmas Carol once. I think it just CG movies back in those days. I don't know. It was a different time, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I remember liking Beowulf as a teenager, but I feel like if I watch it now, I'm just going to be distracted by the dated CG.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I
don't
like
know
that
how
actor
well
a
that
lot.
ages.
That was that actor from King Arthur, and
Ray Winstone.
Yeah. I always wish that like he, like while watching Beowulf, I was just like, I just want this to be like live action. Like he has such a cool like presence. But anyway.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you've seen Ray Winstone, right? He doesn't look like Beowulf. I'll just put it that way.
Not anymore, I guess. Huh? I mean,
not even when they made it. He
that's
didn't look
true.
Like that.
Fair. Yeah. Okay. All right. But yeah, Zemeckis made a Pinocchio movie. Weird. It's not a great movie. I didn't like all the random stuff, like that new character Sabina with like the Fabiana, and there's this puppet that she had, and I thought it was really awkward.
It was weird.
Yeah.
It was like, are they trying to establish a romance for Pinocchio?
Yeah, and he's kind of being like catfished a bit.
Is he attracted to the puppet?
I think he wants to do things with that puppet. I think like that was one of those things where when we get to the point where she's just like, and we're planning to take over Stromboli's business, and I was just like, does show not tell not mean anything anymore? Like one of the most egregious like lamp shading, like
girl boss taking over from Stromboli, you're canceled.
I genuinely like, look, these movies can keep getting made. I have no issue. Like they can exist. I don't have to like them. Some people can like them, and that's their right.
Sure.
There's just something that I think bothers me innately about the fact that other movies don't get to be made because they're the resources that go to this. And like movies with like actual vision, like movies that people are making because they actually want to say something, not because they want to cross things off of a checklist, Yeah. And it just makes me sad. It makes me sad for Cynthia Erivo because she kind of just destroys in a good way When You Wish Upon a Star. And I'm just like, I'm listening to that and I'm like, you deserve so much better than this movie right now.
Where did you stand on the kaiju whale?
I was so checked out. Like the last 20 minutes of this movie, I was just done. I was just like, the Pleasure Island stuff really soured me on everything. Like all the goodwill I had left. And then by the time we get to like, it's already kind of awkward in the original where it's just like, Pinocchio made it back and he's like, where's my papa? And then there's like, he went out looking for you, and they have to like go find him, and then he gets underwater, and it's just like, I think the movie, like the script itself, like the original loses steam in that point anyway. So I think for this movie, it's even worse.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, they make some choices with the whale. Like they give it like, they turn it into the monster from The Host, which is kind of weird. To me,
is that what they did?
I don't know. They gave it tentacles.
Those were tentacles? I thought they were just fins.
No, like it has like tentacle stuff now. It's weird.
I totally missed this. I must have stopped paying attention.
I don't know. I mean, that scene was so bizarre I couldn't stop paying attention for that. I was checked back in. I was like, what are we doing here? I mean, that's what I mean. It's like Zemeckis clearly is making choices. Like, he's not just like doing the whale stuff all over again, but like, it's like, why are we making these choices? Like, is that better or worse than just a director doesn't make choices? I don't know. But I mean, it makes me more interested in it. But like,
I hear you on that.
But like, I just don't. Yeah, I really just don't know what's going on with Zemeckis at this point. He's out to lunch. I think he just doesn't. He just doesn't really have a
drinking too much root beer.
Maybe. I think. You know,
I can't get over the fact that Pleasure Island looks as good as it does in this movie.
I think it looks kind of garish and gross.
I think it looks fun. I want to go.
Yeah,
it looks too fun. It generally, like, it should be darker. It shouldn't look like a fun amusement park. It should look a little bit like Ratchet. You know, it's also a little bit too crisp and clean.
Yeah, it just looks like this weird amusement park place.
Which I guess
it just all look. It looks like it's all. It looks like what's that video game where you build roller coasters?
Oh, Roller Coaster Tycoon?
Yeah, it looks like it's something from Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Okay.
I don't know.
What is Luke Evans doing?
I don't know.
In this movie. Like, why Luke Evans?
Because he was in Beauty and the Beast?
It's such a small part, though.
I don't know.
He has like 4 lines. I do appreciate too, like they don't try to like, because they retcon the Stromboli stuff in this movie, but they don't like try to retcon the donkey stuff. That's just unresolved. Yeah, he gets away with it still, which I'm just like, yeah, sweet. That's kind of what makes the original Pinocchio kind of fun, that it's the darkness goes a little bit unpunished. It has a little bit of a Game of Thrones vibe to it in some points.
You say he only has 4 lines, but he has a whole song. We didn't talk about the original songs in this.
Isn't that like really quick though? I mean, I don't know. I feel like it barely registered for me.
All the original songs in this movie are god awful. Like, impressively bad. The new songs. I'm
trying to remember any of them.
That's what I mean. They don't stick to your brain. They're like just taffy. They just dissolve.
Yeah, they do.
They're just there to add time.
Because I'm trying to think, like the songs. Oh yeah, I guess does not Stromboli get a song, but like Fabina gets a song, I guess. I think.
Yeah, she gets a song.
Geppetto?
Who else gets it?
Does he kind of sing?
Yeah, Geppetto got a song when Pinocchio came alive. He was just like, I got a son. It's cool.
My son died.
My son died. I had a wife.
Yeah, yeah. He mourns his son more than his wife. That's just
yeah.
But I mean, the songs that they like, we already talked about the "I've Got No String" sequence was pretty cool. Fine, yeah. And Cynthia Erivo crushes it. But actors like for me, I know you didn't like the Honest Gideon stuff, but like I had that in my head today. Like it was stuck in my head a little bit. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess compared to some of the other things in the second half, it doesn't bother me as much. But I just didn't like the jokes with Keegan-Michael Key. I thought they were all cringy. I thought Chris Pine was cringe. I thought the influencer joke was cringe.
The Chris Pine joke. I think it's Key. I think Key sells it. It should for anybody else. I think I would have just been like, I'm going home.
Cringe.
But I think that cringe. It's the delivery. I don't know.
I love Keegan-Michael Key, but I thought that was all cringe.
I kind of want an Honest John and Gideon spinoff.
I like Gideon was cool. I thought Gideon was fun.
Gideon's relatable, you know? He's like...
Sure.
There's like 2 guys who do every podcast, right? It's like...
Yeah, they are the Jay and Silent Bob of our times. Yeah, sure.
There you go. Yeah, I should have in this chat named I named myself John Hanks. I should have been Honest John.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I thought you were going to do that, and I was like, okay, yeah, sure, John Hanks. I thought you were subverting the obvious thing, but yeah, that makes sense.
Sure. Well, I'm not. I should have been Johnest John. Right?
Sure, John.
Johnest Han.
Yeah. How'd you feel about?
Oh yeah.
How'd you feel about Dr. Melfi the Seagull?
Oh yeah, I totally forgot this. There's a seagull character in this, Sophia. What was that about? I don't know. Yes, there's a seagull in the movie who basically helps fill in a few plot contrivances and gets characters to other places without it being as awkward as the original. Okay. All plot devices. What are you going to do?
Sure. I don't know. I just thought it was weird. A lot of things in this movie are weird.
I think the voice of Pinocchio is about right. Like, kind of sounds...
Oh, I agree.
Kind of sounds like the original. He's kind of doing his own thing with it. Sure, it's good. enough.
Yeah, no, I was actually going to say that. I'm glad you brought that up because I feel like people are dunking on this movie. We've been pretty critical of it, but I thought No Fault should be directed at that kid. I thought he gave an honest to goodness good performance.
Yeah. You would have to listen to this all the way through just to get to that part.
Ain't no strings on me.
Yeah, I got nothing else for this one. It's Pinocchio. I mean, critics have had their knives out for this, I'm sure. And I've saw like people on Letterboxd just, giving it 1 star. Okay. I'm not going to bat for this movie, but I think to me what makes this a bad movie is in a lot of ways isn't the movie itself. It's what gets movies like this made is more what I take issue with than the final product. I think people tried, like they within the limitations that were set, and it could have been way worse.
Yeah.
I don't want to fixate on the final product. I want to fixate on like where we're at as a society, where this movie happens.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more caught up in the Zemeckis-ness of it, I guess, just because like
he's such a question mark for me at the moment.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like he's always been like kind of erratic already as a filmmaker, so I'm not like trying to say like this is like a new kind of low for him or anything. Like he's always had his ups and downs. Like I'm hoping he rebounds or something, but yeah, I just don't really know what's driving him at this point as a filmmaker. It just seems like he like has his toys he wants to play with CGI, and I don't know if he really got what he wanted out of this movie or not. I mean, I just don't really know what his intent was.
Do you think it's inevitable that we have a Back to the Future legacy sequel?
I'm honestly surprised we haven't done something with that. And I feel like that has to be because Zemeckis and I forget the other screenwriter's name, but they're very protective of it, and understandably so.
Yeah,
but
Bob Gale.
It does. What was that?
It's Bob Gale, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's Bob Gale. But I feel like we're mere days or mere years or months away from like Phil Lord and Chris Miller being like, we're going to revitalize the Back to the Future franchise or something. It's going to probably happen.
I bet.
I'm not saying
I bet they've pitched everything. I bet they've 21 Jump Streeted it. They're like, well, we could do a Cobra Kai version of Back to the Future. We could do a Force Awakens Back to the Future, I'm sure.
Sure. I don't know. I just hope Zemeckis has one more good movie in him. That's all I hope.
Yeah, he just needs to go back to the past.
Yeah.
Find out. Make some contact with what lies beneath before he casts away his...
Keep going.
His used cars.
Yeah, there you go.
I want to hold your hand.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, so...
Beowulf.
That's Pinocchio. Welcome to Pinocchio. It's on Disney Plus now. It's only 105 minutes, which, it should have been shorter, actually. 105 minutes, that's an 80-minute movie, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, it's a lot of filler, and I don't really know why there's so much filler in it, but it's kind of caught in that weird catch-22 that a lot of these live-action remakes are in now, where it's like, they can't just do entirely the same thing, because, like, well, why'd you make the movie? But, they can't do it too different if it's something beloved like this, because then people are going to get upset. So it is in this weird position where it's like, try and do some new things, but not too new.
That's why I like Cruella, because at least it was a different story. It was, it was a prequel. It was, I think, like, for me, the most interesting things about these old Disney movies tend to be the villains. The villains are fun. Like, Little Mermaid should be about Ursula, and Lion King should have been about Scar. I don't know. I don't know why we're not... If we're going to do Hunchback of Notre Dame... Actually, that's a little different. I mean, he's an awesome villain, but I don't...
Well, aren't they doing Hunchback? They're doing Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah, Lilo and Stitch is coming up, and like... Lilo and Stitch, I think, is one of the exceptions, right? But yeah, they're doing Hunchback. I think... I think... I don't remember who the director is supposed to be. I don't know if they picked a director for it yet.
I don't know if they did. Isn't Josh Gad supposed to be Quasimodo?
I don't know if they've like, I know they have like a screenwriter, and I think Josh Gad is like part of it. Like, I thought he was producing it, but I don't know if he's like, an actor in it.
They're doing Hercules. The Russo brothers are doing that.
They're doing another Jungle Book, another Aladdin. Cruella obviously is going to get another one. They're doing a Tinkerbell thing, which I think is probably going to be huge. I think like the Robin Hood one. I forgot about that. I actually think that one could be kind of fun. But see, that's the thing is like if they lean into like I don't know.
Wait, I thought you hated Robin Hood.
The animated one?
No, not the like. Just like I thought you had the same issue with that as you did with like Peter Pan, where you just feel like people don't do good stuff with it, and you're tired of seeing all these movies about.
Well, I think like
Robin Hood.
If you do the thing that Robin Hood did in the 70s with like the animals, I think it has a chance of like kind of being fun and interesting. So I'm a little bit more hopeful for something like that because that's one of the better like Robin Hood's like attempts or like recreations. Because I think doing it with animals, like I think we've gotten the Russell Crowe, we've gotten the Taron Egerton. Those movies were just like trying to make Robin Hood like epic and awesome, which I don't think Robin Hood as a story is epic and awesome.
If we do the animal thing, though, we're getting in some dangerous waters because that's going to be inviting like an onpouring of like furry outrageousness. That's gonna, and I have nothing against the furries. I'm you know,
it's just good marketing at this point.
But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a wild time, and I don't know if I'm ready for that to happen to pop culture.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
Yeah.
Do you know what the most successful of these movies has been at the box office, like worldwide?
Isn't it Alice in Wonderland?
It is not.
Is it Beauty and the Beast?
It is. Or no, sorry, it's not. It's not. It used to be.
Oh. Is it Lion King?
It is Lion King. Lion King made $1.6 billion. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds about right.
It goes Lion King and then Beauty and the Beast, which is like not that far away. It's like 1.2 billion. And then Aladdin. Aladdin barely more than Alice in Wonderland. Those are the ones that have made like $1 billion or more, which is pretty wild.
It is wild that movie made $1 billion and left no footprint on pop culture or any culture. Like it just ceases to have any impact at all.
Yeah.
And people say like that about Avatar, and it's like, I watch How To with John Wilson. That's not true. There are people who clearly love Avatar.
Sure.
That sequel is probably going to do pretty well. Like that's left an impact. Maybe not a huge one, but an impact. Lion King 2019, nothing. It's dust. It is, never more.
All right, well, let's play the Rotten Tomatoes game. It's a long conversation about Pinocchio, but I guess it was more of a conversation of a lot of other things, wasn't it? we found ways to not talk about Pinocchio for a lot of that, huh?
Sure.
Let's figure out what we're going to talk about next week, Will. There are two movies.
No,
two big
Rotten
ones.
Tomatoes game?
Sorry, three big ones. There's Pearl, The Woman King, and Clerks 3. Am I missing anything?
Do Revenge is coming to Netflix. There's Moon Age Daydream going to IMAX.
Well, yeah. But Blonde is hitting limited release.
Is that playing near you? I don't know if that's playing.
I don't know if it's playing near me, but we could be I got invited to a couple screenings, but not in San Francisco.
Oh. Well, la-di-da.
Well, yeah, it's just like New York, LA, which like cool. I'll be right there.
Yeah. I want to see that in theaters really, really bad, but I don't know if that's going to be an option for me unless I go to New York City.
Yeah. You're closer to New York City than I am as close to LA. I'll tell you that.
It's still like 6 hours away from me.
Maybe it's the same because like for me, LA is 6 hours. I thought New York was a little close to it. I was like 4.
It's at least 5.
Wow. Sorry to hear that. I think
maybe like 4. I don't know. It's been a while since I've been there.
I don't have much interest in Clerks 3, like watching it, because it's been so long since I saw the first Clerks. I never saw the second one. And so I feel like I'd have to watch 3 movies.
Snoochie boochies.
Pearl, I'm pretty interested in. I'm in the mood for a good horror movie. I missed Barbarian. I'm hoping to catch up on it. Woman King looks pretty rad.
I was going to say, I figured Woman King would be our main review, but I am seeing Clerks 3 on Sunday.
See, I want to do a double whammy. I want to try to catch Pearl and the Woman King because I want to decide between the two. I think they both look good.
I don't know when I'm going to be able to see Pearl, but I was planning to see the Woman King this weekend, but I do want to see both. If you'd rather do Pearl over the Woman King, that's fine with me.
See, that's the thing. I was supposed to watch both movies last week, missed both of my screenings. So if we had to decide, I would go with The Woman King, because we already watched X earlier in the year, so I feel like, okay, how different is it? But Woman King, I feel like that could be pretty it looks like a good action movie. I don't know for sure though. I don't know if I'm misspeaking.
I mean,
on what kind of movie?
The TIFF reviews were good.
Yeah,
it's getting good noses. I wasn't wowed about the old guard, but I like. It's Gina Price. Gina Price. What's her last name?
Gina Prince Bythewood.
Yeah, that's right. Gina Prince Bythewood.
Yeah.
Love and Basketball. Quite a good film.
Oh, sorry. We were supposed to play the Rotten Tomatoes game, but I got caught up on what we're talking about.
I was asking about that. And you were just like blonde. I was like, okay, fine.
Sorry. Let's play the Rotten Tomatoes game for Pinocchio. I just already wanted to move on, I guess. I accidentally brought up the Pinocchio that Guillermo del Toro did. Oh, another still. That kind of looks interesting. I don't know.
I'm excited for that. I honestly am excited.
All right, but I want the other 2022 Pinocchio movie. That's right, Tom Hanks. Here we go. All right, well, we have 138 reviews counted. What is your guess for the Rotten Tomato score for Pinocchio?
I'm going to say 42%.
That's high. Higher than I thought you would give. You're pretty off on this one. It's 28.
Oof.
Yeah. Audience
I think critics
score.
were kinder to this one. Audience, I'm going to say 34%.
That's spot on. What the hell?
Whoa.
How did you do that?
No idea.
You were like 40 points off on the other one. And then you're like, oh, it's 34.12 exact. Yeah. Okay, nice.
Some moments I'm down and some moments I'm up. That's how this game works.
It's actually, there's 38 fresh reviews and 100 rotten. 38's, hey, 38 ain't zero. There's some people really liking this. I'm kind of just quickly scrolling through, and I don't recognize any of these people, except for Corey Woodruff. Corey Woodruff gave it a positive review on Rotten Tomatoes. What are you gonna?
Yeah, I remember he said he liked the film.
We should have brought him on to try to make his case. But okay, let's go to Letterboxd. Now we don't have a cinema score for this because it didn't go to theaters, of course, which makes it next to Lady and the Tramp is one of the weakest or the least successful of these movies, I guess.
By default, an F.
Yeah, exactly. Pinocchio. See the child God didn't create. I'm just looking at the poster.
Wait, does that actually come up when you Google it?
No. I'm just looking at the
I'd be really
right
surprised
now.
if that.
The tagline on Letterboxd is pretty weak. It's just the timeless classic.
Yeah.
Usually they're more clever than that. But I guess it's a sign of the rest of the movie, I guess. Okay, yeah. So
my tagline was better. Humble brag.
What was your tagline?
See the child God didn't
create. Yeah. Everybody liked that better. So we have 25,000 watches on Letterboxd. That's pretty low. Wow. What do you think the average rating is between 0 and 5?
2.4.
You're not that off. It's 2.1, even lower.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
That's low.
I'm seeing truly pitiful stuff. I can't believe how bad this is. The second film of the year where Tom Hanks plays a European caricature alongside an exploited puppet. That was my favorite.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, there's some good ones here.
The blank check review is going to be interesting for this.
I checked how much time is left in the movie at least once per minute.
Oh boy.
I genuinely did that too. Okay. And yeah, I'm looking at people I follow on Letterboxd, friends of the show. Yeah, besides Corey, I don't see any other friends of the show who logged it here. So, except for Matt Serafini. And what did Matt say? Matt said, decided to celebrate Disney Plus Day by watching the new Pinocchio live-action remake. Here are my loose and unorganized thoughts I wrote while watching. Is this thing really shot for shot? What is the point of this? This is capitalized. Robert Zemeckis made Back to the Future. Tom Hanks is his old buddy. You're going to make a live-action movie and not make live-action cuckoo clocks. I did think that was weird, too. Why did they use CG for that? Ugh. I won't read the whole thing. You can follow Matt on letterboxd.com.
Didn't they have CG extras, too, in the movie? There's
Probably.
A lot of stuff in this movie.
I watched it on an iPad. I couldn't tell. Everything looked blurry and fuzzy.
I was saying, there's a lot of stuff in this movie I remember being why is this CG? Just stuff that didn't need to be CG was CG. It's why?
We didn't need an origin for Pinocchio's name. Pinocchio? Shut up. All right. Well, that'll do it for this week's episode of Cinemaholics. Unless you had something else, Will.
Well, all I was going to say is there ain't no strings on me.
You already said that earlier in the program.
Well, it bears repeating.
Oh, hey, guys.
Hey!
Hey, you're back.
I'm sorry to barge in like this.
Oh, boy.
Do you guys have any, popsicles?
Sorry, Mickey. I don't.
Oh, no.
Well, I guess I got to take care of this. He's kind of sweaty.
Well, sorry to hear that.
Well, anyway, from the Internet California, I'm John Negroni.
And from the Internet Pennsylvania, I'm Washington.
From a meth den in downtown Burbank, California, I'm Mickey Mouse.
Jeez.
See you next time.
Yeah, boy.